welcome back to another episode of Tech Pro Unicorn Podcast. I am Michael Grace, your host today. I am joined by Michelle Barnum Smith. We've had a couple guests on talking about FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, and whole Amazon retailing, which has been cool. Today we get to take that a little bit further with Michelle because Michelle is a 20-year marketing veteran. She's pioneered the use of chat marketing for Amazon sellers. We're going to talk about what that even is. Michelle is the founder and CEO of Easybot. She's the unofficial or official now, we'll dub her here on the podcast, Queen of Amazon Chatbots, where she teaches Amazon sellers how to drive sales with external marketing. Michelle is a featured expert in the Amazon seller world, speaking at conferences such as Prosper, $1 Billion Seller Summit, Traffic and Conversion, Global Sources Summit, and more. She can be found, and all the information that we're going to talk about today can be found at www.easybot.com. And you can find out all about driving sales and external traffic there. So, Michelle, thank you for taking the time and joining us here on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So cool. So we had a colleague of yours on, and he said, oh my gosh, you've got to talk to Michelle because I can take FBA only so far, but Michelle can really add kind of this cool tech element and how to leverage some cool software, some cool bots to really help FBA get to the next level. So tell us about how did you wind up creating Easybot?
So let me back into my journey a little bit. So
Please.
I have been doing my own thing for the last 10 years. This is my 10-year anniversary year of being doing my own thing. But before that, I worked in corporate high tech, and I worked with many of the Fortune 100 in doing lots of partner marketing for many of the largest companies in the world. And I had that whole career for 12 years. And in that journey, I think any kind of experience with tech, you see things like, you see startups, you see people who are bootstrapping their company, people who are getting angel investment for their company, people who are being acquired probably by one of the companies that I worked for, right? And so never in a million years would I, think to fast forward 10 years and I would be the owner of my own software company, because in my experience, that had been something that would cost like $1 billion to get started, and you'd have to eat ramen noodles and tuna fish for 5 years, and maybe it might work, But entrepreneurship is a funny thing. And where you start your journey is not necessarily where it's going to end up. And I'm not saying that even where I am now is the stopping point. But I think what's beautiful about entrepreneurship and owning your own business is that the path is a lot more fluid, and you have the opportunity to pivot and adjust to opportunity than necessarily you do in a corporate setting where it's like you have this ladder and you climb it and this is what you do and this is who you are, that kind of a thing. So if anybody's considering entrepreneurship, know that it is for sure a journey, but it can be a very interesting path for personal development, because you learn a lot about yourself in kind of that flow. So that's how I would say Easybot did not just kind of come to me in the night at one point. It wasn't like, ta-da, here we are today. It's been this process. I'm a marketer first and foremost. And in marketing, our job is to identify problems and then to sell solutions, right? Mm-hmm. We have to do both of those things. If you ever want to experience this in real time, watch the Food Network, because the Food Network is really good at creating pain and also identifying for you in that moment what will satisfy that pain, right? Whatever they're cooking,
Right.
And so out you rush to the grocery store to buy all the things and burn the food and get takeout anyway.
To realize you're not a great chef.
To realize this is not as easy as that TikTok video made it out to be. Right, exactly, exactly. So I will say that creating Easybot has and continues to be a journey, and one that I never expected to be on and to be doing.
That's awesome. You were you ever like a seller on Amazon? Were you like, and then had this realization
No,
like, oh, I need a better way to do this.
no.
You
In
really
fact,
came at it.
I had no idea that Amazon, when you buy something on Amazon, so this is back in 2017.
Hmm.
um, I met my first Amazon seller, and I had no idea that there were that the products that you and I buy on Amazon on a daily basis are sold basically by like micro businesses, solopreneurs, very small businesses, like mom and pop shops, those types of things. And being an entrepreneur myself, like I've really loved that concept in the marketplace, that that it's not like just the massive brands duking it out for a presence in Nordstrom, for example. It's these small sellers who can make significant income by selling one or two products on Amazon. And once I kind of realized and learned that most Amazon sellers cared about three core things. They cared about how their products were ranked, they cared about reviews, they cared about launching new products. Then I was able to kind of formulate a system to help them achieve those kinds of results for those core areas, and very quickly became known in the industry as like the leading expert on how to do so. But prior to that, I had no clue. Now, Michael, fast forward 5 years,
Hmm.
and I actually put in my sales order in China for my very first Amazon product that I'm
Woo!
launching later this summer. I'm super excited. So, all things come full circle, and it's time for me to dip my toes in the water as well, and also learn. Like, you learn so much from doing everything, and I'm like, I love to be a student of life, and invest. And of course, I've worked with just thousands and thousands and thousands of Amazon sellers in the last 5 years, and launched thousands of products. But it's very different when it's your skin that's on the line, and your livelihood or your investment. It's kind of a thrilling proposition, because it's not theory anymore. It's real life, right? It's your life.
Right, right.
And it both thrills me and terrifies me that that is the case.
To me, right, when I always say you literally gotta know your customer to the point that you almost become your customer. And so, to me, all I can see in that is you're going to even better know what that whole process is like to be able to better serve those sellers in that community.
Oh,
And
amen.
it's going to be a cool journey to watch for sure.
Yeah, I've been working on my product inserts, and this is something that you do. It's a strategy on Amazon. Have packaging that has some sort of call to action on it, so you can kind of start to create a direct relationship with your buyers instead of a facilitated or brokered relationship with Amazon. Anyway, I was working on that today, and just like tweaking a few nuances in like the QR code, call to action, landing page, blah blah blah. Those types of things. And already I'm like, oh, this is going to make a great training for my audience. I can't wait to show them what I've created here, So in just testing things. And I feel like that brings also a level of credibility. I mean, I'm already a pretty credible source. People trust me. They know me in this space. But even more credibility when I'm like, hey, this hurts. Who's got some ideas here to share with me? Oh, and here are my lessons. Here's some takeaways. Here's like some live action. This happened this week. This is what I did about. Here are the results. Those types of things. It just
Hmm.
adds that level of credibility for my audience as well.
I love the FBA space because people share so openly about their journeys and not just like, hey, look at me and my check. I hate those where they're like,
Right.
how
It's
much money I made on FBA. It's like, yeah, dude, get great, good, go away. What I really enjoy is the people that share the journey and the
yeah.
and the missteps and where they're like, man, I did this and I meant to create, this promotion, but it lowered the total price of all my products, and I sold all my products at a loss. Oops. And just they just openly share. It's such a cool community to all learn from each other, and it's relatively new if you think about it. I mean, it sounds like it's years and years old, but in the age of like other products, commodity selling platforms, retail, it's still really, really new and everybody's learning and it's always changing.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question. And the community is, I think one of the things that's so beautiful about the community is because it's just individuals, right? Because we're not these massive corporations. And having worked for massive corporations, it's really hard to see how anything you do ever affects the bottom line, unless you're in sales, you know? Um, and I grew up on a farm. I'm very law of the harvest kind of girl. I like to literally get my hands dirty and see how what I'm doing actually affects, what's going on. And I think this is one of the things that drove me to create Easybot was seeing how just some little changes and some little things can make a massive difference in
Mm-hmm.
somebody's business, and that is very satisfying to me as a business owner. And I think if anybody out there is considering entrepreneurship, get yourself as close to results as possible so that you can it's a good sales tactic, for your services or your platform. But B, it's also very satisfying from a human being standpoint that you can see how you're making a difference in people's lives.
I love it. When we talk about the technology, the quote unquote, I'm using air quotes for those of you that are listening. I always forget that I'm, on an audio primary podcast and I do things like air quotes and I'm like, oh, they can't see that. So I'm doing air quotes around bots, right? Which is really chatbot kind of interaction technology. And for many listeners, they think of chatbots as oh, they load a website and then up pops this sometimes highly annoying little thing that you can't get rid of. And can I help you? No, I'm just browsing. But I want to help you. No, please leave me alone. And I think auto companies are the worst. You go to shop for a car and there's like, do you need service? Here's our service specials. And you're like, no, I'm just browsing a car. Oh, can we connect you to a sales guy? Oh my gosh, stop. Talk to me about these particular bots and kind of what they do and how they interact with folks and through what platforms.
Yeah, yeah. So some of the things that you're describing are where most chatbots originated in the customer support space, right?
Right.
That like massive companies were hiring, level one employees, level one response employees for kind of those frequently asked questions. How do I reset my password? How do I, whatever. And and those were really expensive employees, right? Even if they're
Mm-hmm.
outsourced, to India or Philippines or somewhere else, it's still as expensive. And people generally hate talking to those people who, don't necessarily speak their language the same way they
Right.
do, right?
Right.
And so chatbots were born from that pain and from that space of trying to answer those frequently asked questions. So fast forward to 2000, end of 2016, and Facebook Messenger, and Facebook's obviously the largest social media platform in the world. Even though it gets a lot of hate, it still has 7 billion users and 70%, log on daily. In every age range and audience demographic is represented. So anybody who bags on Facebook and is like, no, 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 listen, listen, along with their other properties such as Instagram and WhatsApp, is the largest social media platform in the world. And Messenger has the highest penetration outside of China's WeChat. Okay. So, and obviously WeChat is kind of like centralized to communist China. so,
Right.
so Messenger has like a significant opportunity as well as WhatsApp. So anyway, in 2016, Facebook opened the Messenger API to development, meaning, hey, Facebook, you know what Facebook sells, what Facebook has to offer, and how Facebook monetizes is through ad dollars, right? That's how they give businesses access to their audience. And so they opened their API in 2016 to API level development, and all these businesses and chat platforms were like, okay, Messenger is now open. Let's create a way that we can create marketing chatbots, not just
Mm.
support chatbots and not just, technical robots doing, specific work in the background and automations, but let's make marketing through Messenger fun and gamified. And it doesn't always have to be fun, but like with chatbots and these chatbot platforms, like ManyChat is a chatbot platform where it's basically kind of like the MailChimp what MailChimp is for email, where it's kind of this blank slate where you can do all sorts of email marketing stuff. That's what ManyChat is for like the whole world, where you can create all these different kind of chatbot scenarios and calls to action and functionality and all sorts of fun stuff. So as soon as I saw that as a digital marketing professional, I was like, all right, this is a massive game changer. I learned as much as I could, as quickly as I could. I threw away everything that I was doing in my agency prior. Talk about like life pivots. And I
Wow.
was like, I am all in on chatbots. I was the first freelancer on Upwork to even offer chatbots. I created the category on Upwork. And got as many diverse clients and diverse scenarios as possible, and that's when I kind of like that's where I found my first Amazon seller. And then after that it just spread like wildfire, and I was just like, when you niche, you're rich. I'm only working on Amazon, and here I am today. So that's kind of like the history and background of chatbots, and they've had, just like any technology, they have had iterations. They've had it was the Wild West from 2017 to 2020, like early 2020. And then Facebook, like they're drug dealers in the sense that they roll out new tech and they get businesses hooked on it for free, right? Like you think about a Facebook business page. You used to be able to like, somebody liked your page and then you posted on your page, people would actually see that post, you know? Same way with Instagram. Like you create
Right.
Instagram and you just assume that the organic reach is going to be 100%. Well, guess what? Facebook, now that organic reach for Facebook post is like 0.0025%. You want people to see your post, it's pay to play. You got to advertise it. You got to boost the post or run ads for that Instagram post or whatever it might be.
Right.
So in 2020, Messenger started essentially charging you to run any kind of promotional content to your Facebook Messenger audience, and so that definitely like changed the landscape in going from like crazy spamming all the time, because Facebook's trying to protect their audience and their engagement, to a little bit more measured and a little bit more gated
Mm-hmm.
relationships, those kinds of things. I know I've like gone way down the rabbit hole, but I think it's important to understand kind of the
Yeah.
difference between if you're developing some, AI through, IBM's technology or something like that, or Alexa, Amazon's Alexa. It's a very different. Marketing chatbots are just very different. Like you can build audiences, you can build lists, you connect it with Facebook ads or Instagram ads, and that's how you develop these audiences and drive traffic. And it's very effective. It's very effective.
I love your stats on my I'll just tell a very personal story. My son works for Meta. He works for Facebook. He works
The
on the
drug dealer.
Messenger.
He
He
works for
works
the
on the
dealer.
Messenger team
Oh, does he
in Mountain
now?
View.
That's
Yep.
good to know,
So
Michael. I need to have this connection in my life.
yeah, yeah. And he's cool. He just started. He interned there last year. They made him a job offer before even his senior year of college. He went to
Wow,
Harvey Mudd.
congrats.
Harvey Mudd's a great place. But he had his choice. He could have went to Instagram. He could have went to, and when he chose Messenger, I was like, Messenger? Are you crazy? Like, why did you choose Messenger? And he said the same thing. He was like, it's really one of the world's most popular messenger platforms around engagement. And we have all this feature list, the future feature list, which I'm sure he wouldn't tell me. So I can't share anything super top secret there. But he said, our list of what we're rolling out with Messenger is huge, and I'm excited about it. And Instagram was kind of like wah wah wah, when he had all his choice of where do you want to go in Facebook, and he chose Messenger. I was just kind of like, really? Like who the hell? It's like AOL Messenger is what was in my head,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
who still uses that? And then I'm like, oh wait a minute, I use Messenger a lot, and Messenger's connected to like the Facebook portals, and I was like, oh okay, do you really like it? And he's like, the features that are coming on
Yeah.
Messenger are amazing.
Well, it's the difference between, if you think of Instagram as like entertainment, and Messenger, the direction it's going is commerce, because that's what WeChat is kind of
Right.
like set the precedent for. That like people don't go and buy things on websites in China. They buy things through WeChat. They buy things through chat. And that, like, with the capabilities in
Mm.
Messenger and WhatsApp, like the penetration opportunity for Facebook is significant, but like um because okay, China, like WeChat can own China, but between WhatsApp and Messenger, they own the rest of the chat market.
Right. The rest of the world.
Right. And it's
WeChat is kind of like they chat.
right, right. I mean, it's still important, and it's still obviously like a super important country, but it's like also locked down to a certain degree, right, by the
Right.
government. So
Right.
anyway, so it's just important to understand, as people like bag on platforms and think like, oh well, TikTok's the future. Listen, my friends, TikTok is not the future. It's just one, like, a distraction that blew up during COVID because people wanted entertainment, right? How TikTok will survive is through the monetization of its audiences, just the way that Facebook and Instagram have pioneered, right? So they're already
Hmm.
ahead of it. Anyway, we could wax philosophical about these things all day long. But
I love
needless
it.
to say, there's a significant opportunity here. And my niche is specifically geared towards the application of what Amazon sellers need to accomplish to grow their businesses. I'm not like trying to,
Right.
build chatbots for lawyers and doctors and restaurants and things like that. I'm completely focused on helping Amazon sellers, primarily because, and it's important to understand, and maybe this is, interesting to your listeners, is many Amazon sellers get involved with Amazon because Amazon has two things to offer. Here's a little question for you, Michael. What does Amazon
Hmm.
sell?
Definitely not products. They sell the platform and the connectivity to the customers.
They sell keywords, just like
Interesting.
Google. Just like Google, right? Like
Right.
whatever gets typed into the search bar, that is what is for sale with Amazon, right?
Right.
And to be able to show up high for search results is what will get you and your products sold. 80% of traffic does not go past page 1. So
Mm.
here's like an ancient Google joke for you. You guys ready for this? Like
I love
this
it.
is like one of my only jokes. I'm like a dad joke person, except I only have one joke. I'm like a marketing joke. Like, where's the best place to hide a dead body?
I don't know.
Page 2, because nobody goes there. Oh, but
I love it.
so, and the same as that, and that related, that was a Google joke from back in, I don't know, the 90s. And that is true for Amazon as well, is that you think about yourself and your consumer experience on Amazon. And you are not going, how often are you going past page 1 search results to see what else there is out there?
Yeah. Not often.
No, exactly. So it really is, page 1 is where the daily war happens on Facebook, or excuse me, on Amazon. So the whole kind of what Amazon really has to offer sellers is traffic, all this volume that they attract for being themselves in this kind of centralized marketplace, right? We saw massive, insane levels of growth during 2020 and continued into 2021. Facebook now represents 50% of the e-commerce marketplace,
Wow.
just straight up. And e-commerce has taken over the retail space as well. I don't have those numbers straight off the top of my head, but just understand, like, if you would rather go to Walmart, like walk there, walk into a store and buy something, or like pull up your phone and just grab it on Amazon and it'll be here in a day. Just think about your own consumer, how maybe your own consumer behavior has shifted.
Right.
you know so what Amazon has to offer is the traffic that it organically brings, and then also fulfillment services. So these mom and pop sellers don't have to own their own warehouse. They don't have to like coordinate fleet services through UPS or USPS or whatever like
Right.
it is just like all coordinated for them, and through Amazon fees and percentages and things like that. That's how Amazon makes their money. And they make money off of, PPC, which is like sponsored keywords. and things like that. So that is why Amazon is such a unique opportunity. It is a bloodbath. It is nuclear war. It is not just show up, with your for sale sign and make money, but you'll get your ass handed to you if you just have that kind of attitude. But as long as you go in understanding like, hey, this is gonna be a show, and we're here to party, we're here to work hard, then people are doing very, very well with their business opportunities. So if you're on the
I love
fence
it.
whether Amazon FBA is for you, it's something to consider for sure.
Cool. Um, so if I'm an FBA seller, right, and I've got a widget, let's say that I've sourced, I've done all the right things to get my widget, and I'm sending it off. How does the Easybot, when I go to Easybot, I see that I can start for $1, which is awesome, right? So you get to trial it out and make sure, and it seems like you've taken all the. I mean, if you tell someone, hey, what we need you to do is to configure a chatbot and have it promote your business and stuff, people would be like, I don't even know what a bot is, right? And you've taken all that, not fear, right? But you've taken all that and just broken it down really to let us handle it. And it's kind of cool, right? So folks can get started, it seems, fairly quickly. Maybe walk us through like how easy is it to start, and then what does the bot go do?
Yeah. So it used to be, like my business has had iterations where I used to just coach people and train people, and we have an agency where it's just like, we'll just do it for you, we'll just build it for you. But just like you said, most Amazon sellers are busy people. They've got lots going on, and most of them have day jobs while they're doing the Amazon side hustle. And so learning one more thing was just like overwhelming. And so in late 2020, I was just like, you know what, screw it. We need to make this easier for people. I don't want to have to
Mm-hmm.
train you and help you understand things like bot fields and tags and, all this kind of nonsense that if you don't do it right, could blow up your campaign and ruin everything. So we created the platform to essentially sit on top of ManyChat. So just like I said, ManyChat's kind of like this blank canvas of all these cool things that you can do with bots, right? And Easybot really is specific to Amazon sellers and what they're trying to accomplish: audience building, giveaway contests, seasonal promotions, ranking campaigns, product insert flows. If you're in this space, you understand what I'm talking about. Like, it's not just like the Peanuts mom that's rah, 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 you know like, I'm speaking your language, you're like, yeah, yeah. So anyway, the whole process is basically with Easybot is that we've created these like very powerful ManyChat templates that essentially Easybot makes it, easy to install, customize, and drive traffic to and through so that you can get, those desired results that you're looking for. So Easybot, like we've really tried to break it down. We're not experts necessarily in UI and UX. We're still working on the platform, of course, make it better all the
Sure.
time. Um, that's what it means to be in software, is that it's like, what's the next iteration, guys? What's the next iteration? My dev team. And sometimes it's like, what's the fire drill of the week that we are like putting out, Uh, man, being a software company owner, you learn like there's so much.
Amen. We have our own software at RPI too, and it's like, oh, geez,
What have we done? What have we
the
done?
struggle is real.
Right, for sure. It's very satisfying. At the same time, it's very terrifying. But it's a great, it's a great opportunity to be able to serve the marketplace and make things a little bit easier that they're trying to accomplish.
Cool. The I mean, so many things, right? When you look at some of these businesses, the costs just start like going crazy, right? You're like, oh, I need thousands of dollars for product. I need this, I need that. And there's all these costs. This seems to be a technology, right, that is almost like to use a marketing term, like a funnel, right? It's going to go funnel some folks to your product. It's going to start
Yeah,
bringing you, yesterday we had a guest that we talked about lead generation. So this is going to go kind of serve that purpose and start bringing people
right.
to your product. Um, and it just seems so consumable, right? $1, you get to try it for 2 weeks. Hopefully, within 2 weeks, you get it up, you get it configured, you start to see some results. Um, but then when the 2 week trial expires, it's not like hundreds and hundreds of dollars to keep the bot working for you. I mean, we're talking, I think, plus or minus generally around $100
Right.
a month.
Yeah.
Um, assuming you have the right profit margin set on your product and stuff, and you start moving widgets, this is like one of the cheapest salespeople you could potentially employ.
Right. Automations that are just working on autopilot after they've been set up. Like one of the things that I just described was like earlier was my product insert, like a QR code that I have on my packaging with some sort of call to action to like, and the primary purpose of those product inserts is number one, to develop a direct relationship with my customer. But
Right.
number two is also review harvesting. And reviews on Amazon are very important. There's a lot of black hat tactics that go on Amazon. And if you trust all the reviews that are out there, I'm sorry, you're being lied to a good percentage of the time. A lot of those by just like I like, and I don't have anything against Chinese sellers, but by like some bad players in from the Chinese seller space. And Amazon has done a lot to try to crack down on that, mostly because the FTC has like cracked down on Amazon. So it's a little bit like, the crap flows downhill
Right.
analogy, right?
Hmm.
So anyway, there's just things that in the chatbot world is like you have the chatbots that are kind of like one-off campaigns, and then you have chatbots that are like ongoing automations and doing things like harvesting reviews, as well as we're building out lifetime value funnels as well, so that these Amazon customers can see like the full array of what your brand has to offer. They came for the silicone spatulas, but did they know that you sell garlic presses and mixing bowls and silicone mats and things like that? So it's just a whole different kind of sales model than selling direct, like to your own website and things like that. And so basically, Easybot's job is to make that process easier for people to be able to create and set up and run the campaigns that they need to.
I love it. One of, in my corporate sense, I'm still stuck in corporate America over here.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Analytics and business intelligence, right, are buzzwords that everybody's want. Oh, we need analytics. We need analytics. We need click-through rates. We need to understand what's going on. And EasyBot comes with kind of some analytics. Maybe talk to us a little bit about what insights they get with the
Yeah,
analytics.
yeah. So, I mean, some of the things that we measured, it depends, it varies based on the campaign. And what it is that's most important for you to know in that campaign, because I think we all know that you can experience death by numbers a little bit. And it depends on what kind of data Amazon is willing to provide back to us. So, a lot of people don't realize this, but Amazon is a black hole in the sense that they don't share data with anybody. Like they don't share it with Facebook. Facebook, if you're trying to run Facebook ads, directly to Amazon, you can't pixel anything inside of Amazon to be able to provide that data back to the Facebook ads platform and tell them like, hey, this ad was successful. We've had this many people like purchase the product, like you can if you're sending traffic directly to your website. Amazon doesn't share. They just don't. And, at least for the time being, March 31st, 2022, at the time of this recording. But so as far as what is available in Easybot are the things like open rates and click-through rates and the number of reviews, that are being harvested, and how many subscribers you got through this campaign and those types of things. Those are kind of the levers that affect your campaign directly and that allow you to be able to know if the campaign is successful. What we can't provide you is if those clicks turned into a sale, because Amazon doesn't give us that data. And so we have to just like kind of play by their rules and what they're willing to provide via their terms of service, and a lot there's just not much. So we do our best with what we're given, and we pivot accordingly.
I love it. Um, as a marketer, right? First, you've seen in 20 years um, so many different tools or things, starting with email campaigns, or heck, 20 years ago we probably weren't really even doing a whole lot of email campaigns. It was probably still print advertising or
Oh yeah, for sure.
websites or such. Um, when you kind of get to the modern age, right, where folks are in a mobile world and they're always on their phones, why Facebook Messenger versus like creating email campaigns?
So that's a great question. And the reality and the answer is yes. And what I mean by that is ManyChat is an omni-channel platform, meaning you can build subscribers in multiple channels basically simultaneously and market to them in a simultaneous fashion. Meaning I can run a Facebook ad and get somebody as a messenger subscriber and then immediately ask for their email address, get them opted into our email list as well, and then later in the flow, when I have something super even more valuable and I've developed trust and a relationship, then ask for SMS data so that in one campaign, I have them as subscribers in 3 channels. And then how that plays out moving forward is if I have some sort of seasonal promotion, I'm going to hit them with maybe 4 or 5 emails over the course of, 3 weeks, and then maybe 2 SMS and 1 paid message, right? So it allows it for that omni-channel or that multi-channel communication experience. And ManyChat also has the capability for like Instagram DM automations, and WhatsApp is new beta. And so as ManyChat grows as a platform, so does Easybot. I tell sellers because they'll be like, should I be doing something with WhatsApp? And I'm like, I will let you know when it's time for you to think about this. It is not time for you to think about this yet. Okay. I'm like your marketing guru. So when it comes to external traffic, I'll let you know if that's a channel that you need to consider. But for the time being, focus on these 3 channels. Here's the templates. Here's the training on being able to execute that. And in our templates, in EasyBot, everything is omni-channel. So we are like we very much are like every single channel because they still have each channel has something to offer, and we want to capitalize on that multiple touch.
I love it. So many folks that are just starting a new business, whether it be FBA or a services business or even heck brick and mortar, um, they feel they need to be everywhere, right? I need a website. I need landing pages. I got to be on Facebook. I got to be on Instagram. I got to be on TikTok. I got to be on WhatsApp. I've got to be everywhere. And then they
Right.
spend, instead of running their business and focusing on their product or their services, they become this marketing person. And then their business just flails because they're doing more of this marketing nonsense. And I always tell them, what's your core business? It isn't being out here on all this insanity that you're trying to do on social media. Outsource that, right? Find the tools, let other people who do that well and who are the knowledge leaders in that space, let them service you in that aspect and focus on your core service or product, right? Because that's your passion. Your passion isn't in being a social media marketing maven. Go find somebody to do that and pay them, and then it's crazy, but they feel the need just because there is so many platforms to be wherever
Well,
their customers might be.
right. Marketing's fun, right? Marketing's
Mhm.
sexy. It's exciting. When was the last time those words described accounting? Oh, I'm sorry.
There's lots of accountants who listen to it. Accounting's very sexy.
That's so sexy, guys. Yeah, right. So here's the thing: is that marketing, it's a polarizing effect on people. It's either like where they want to spend all their time or where they want to spend none of it, right? And to your point, and to my point, is that you have to meet in the middle in the sense that as a business owner, you need to understand the core strategy of understanding what your product offering is.
Mhm.
Marketing strategy is my superpower. Before I was known as the queen of chatbots, I was marketing strategy is like what I'm best at. I can spend all day long talking marketing strategy. But really, what it comes down to is what do you have to offer? Who's it best for, i.e., who's your target audience? And then how are you going to reach that person? What's the most efficient way to solve that person's problem with your solution, in the most efficient manner, as opposed to just getting sucked into marketing to do marketing. So it comes down to, as the business owner, you need to understand your core strategy and how a specific tactic is going to be a part of your arsenal to accomplish that goal. But
Mhm.
then instead of you trying to do it all yourself or learn it all yourself, you find a tactician or an agency who specializes in that thing. Not somebody who specializes in all the things, because that is not true and impossible when it comes to marketing. If somebody walks up to you guys and says, "I'm a marketing expert," you just run away from them, because marketing is so diverse. I'm like, are you a marketing expert in postcards? Are you a marketing expert in billboards? Are you a marketing expert in, they say, digital marketing? What the heck does that mean? Like like Facebook ads, SEO? What do you mean? PPC, Google AdWords? Like what do you got? Like, you have to define and get to that point where you know, hey, Google AdWords is a really important part of our sales strategy. Okay, I'm going to go hire an agency that specializes in Google AdWords as opposed to a marketing person, right? So that to me is like the really important part, because obviously marketing is where money gets spent and time gets wasted, because it's the fun part of running business, you know. And for those people who are terrified of marketing and to be clear, my best friend is my cousin who runs an accounting firm, and she's a brilliant accountant. When she and I talk accounting, I'm the one who's crying and just being like, I don't understand this. My brain just melts out my ears, you know? And when we're talking marketing, she's the one that's crying, because she's like, I just cannot with this, you know? So like, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. But so if marketing is a weakness of yours, just understand that you need to understand how it fits into your core strategy and then hire it out. Bottom line, don't get sucked into the new sexy cool of whatever marketing tactic du jour is popping up, because there will always be a million of those every single day.
I love it. That is great advice. Um, we've covered a whole bunch about cool technologies like Easybot, chatbots, and how chatbots can help you from a seller's perspective. We geeked out a little bit. Hopefully, not too much that folks were like, "I don't understand."
No
You don't
comment.
understand. Easybot is a really cool website. It's when I tell you, like, they've really broken it down into pretty simple steps. Just go check it out. It's not a complex web page. It's very simple. It's possibly, like, from a technology perspective, one of the most consumable web pages I've
Well,
seen.
thank you. That's
Yeah,
very kind of you to say.
yeah,
As we're in the midst of being like, this is crap, we're throwing it away, we're starting over. So it's nice of you to say that, because
yeah,
we're about to
yeah.
change it all.
Well, so many tech websites, right? They want to share. They want to tell you all about the technology, and at the end of the day, I just have to trust that your technology works, right? If you tell me it works and you're charging me for it, I'm assuming it's working. What I want to focus on is what you guys do a really good job, I think, on the website is talking about how it helps you, right? Less about, like, let me tell you how the bots work and the APIs and blah blah blah. Like, at the end of the day, they shouldn't care, right? I tell people all that. I'm a technologist, and I tell people all the time, stop worrying about the technology. Let me worry about the technology. You tell me what your business problem is,
Yeah.
and trust that I'm going to bring the technology to the table that's going to solve that problem,
Yeah.
right?
I'm into
And if we
that.
all stay in those roles, we come out with great outcomes. But when you want to dive in and geek out with me on how all this technology works, that's awesome. But now we're in a rabbit hole that isn't really helping
Nobody else
me
is
or helping
understanding you
you,
do.
right? It's a cool geeky experience, but it really doesn't help anybody.
Well, it's kind of like dating, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I marketing and dating are actually very similar. And I think we've all been on those dates, or heaven forbid, like, are you're in those dates now. I'm praying for you. Um, but happily married 10 years this year. But we've all been on those dates where somebody just sits there and talks about themselves the whole time, and they walk away feeling like it went really well, and you walk away wanting to, like, never date again because it was the worst experience ever, right? And sometimes marketing is like that, whether it's a website, or some sales guy in a booth at a trade show, where they're just talking at you. And one of the most satisfying things to me when I go and speak at events, or I was just at a sellers conference in Cancun, Mexico, back in earlier this
uh,
month. It was
for
really,
you.
really hard, guys. I suffered.
It's awesome.
Um, but anyway, like, I'm able to see some of these my target audience, the people that I serve live, in person, tangible, right? And it's so important for me to have that time to hear their frustrations and to hear their pain, and to talk through them, be like, okay, if we were able to do this for you, would that solve that, or to hear somebody come up to me and be like, I was struggling with this, and because of you, your software, whatever, we were able to grow our business by blah blah blah. That is so deeply satisfying to me, and
Hmm.
just fills me up, so that when I come home to my children who are 6 and 8, and just think I stay home and watch shows on TV all day, that I'm able to feel satisfied with my life, that I'm doing something that's helping somebody else's business succeed. So I think anytime you can spend time with your target audience is a very valuable experience, and to speak to those pain points in your marketing, because that is what makes them feel understood, right? And makes them feel like you hear them, and that you're spending more time listening than talking, you know?
At the end of the day, marketing is really about relationships, right? Whether it's about Easybot that's helping bring the customers to you, right? The purpose of that is to create a relationship with that consumer and the seller, right? Around perhaps a product, perhaps other products, but hopefully you create a relationship that's meaningful, and then you become the person when they need to replace the spatula, they want to buy it from the same company
Right,
because
right.
you had a really cool insert and it told them all about like how you donate 2% of your profits to local charities or something, right? You created something meaningful. And I think people get caught up in product, they get caught up in business, they get caught up on channels. And at the end of the day, all this stuff, whether it's technology or websites or products or whatever, it's all about human to human relationships. And we forget that because we're in this digital space where we're all on screens and such. But at the end of the day, it's about that human connection. And I love your analogy. My takeaway from this whole podcast, after everything we talked about, is marketing is like dating. I
100%.
love that so much. I'm putting that on t-shirts. It's going to be FBA'd. Marketing is like dating. I'm creating a whole line. I'm trademarking it. It's awesome. It's so cool. It's so
Well, it's
cool.
true. It's highly relevant. In fact, like, I did a stint as a dating coach, and my business was called Marketing to Marriage, because I had so many friends who were like, how did you get married? Like, how did this ever happen for you, of all people? And I was like, I'm a marketing professional. I used the branding, targeting, and advertising, those three things all together, plus sales. It's about lead generation and about like nurturing your leads, as opposed to like it was a systematic process, instead of just like letting the universe decide, like all that kind of mumbo jumbo. So anyway, I do have a little bit of knowledge in that world, unfortunately, but happy
I
to be
love it.
happy to be far away from it now, because yikes, no thanks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Michelle, thank you again for just dropping the knowledge. Being the queen of chatbots and helping FBA sellers. It's a confusing space. There's lots of technology that's vying for what little dollars they have to try to promote their business,
Yeah.
and this is just such a consumable add-on to really help them have sales so that they can continue to grow and expand. It's cool that you took all your background and really brought it to truly help people, right? And you can tell when I have guests on that are in it for money or in it to change the world. And I'd put you in that latter category, right?
Oh,
Just your connection to your consumers, your desire to continue to improve and keep doing everything better. I appreciate what you're doing. Thanks for spending the time and sharing Easybot with us. Links will all be down below to how you can check out Easybot on your own. It's just www.easybot.com. But in case that's confusing to you, the website isn't, and the link will be down below. And Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
yeah. Thanks so much for having me. It's been awesome.